Hey guys, I'm back for the second round of the Mercury series that I'm doing. So if you want to learn more about what Mercury means in your chart, you can watch the first video, which includes Mercury in Aries, Taurus, and Gemini. But just to sort of refresh, your Mercury is a small planet, but is important. It does play a role in your personality, in your life, in the way you communicate, the way you write, the way you think in a rational way, not in an emotional way. Sometimes we can perceive our emotions as thoughts, but actually, Mercury is the part of your thoughts that sort of pieces things together, and the manner in which they will piece it together depends on the sign and also on, which house it's placed and all that stuff, but that's another topic. So today I'm going to be talking about Mercury in Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. So to start off with Mercury in Cancer, these people are I found that they can be very careful in the way that they communicate. And part of this is because they want to say the right thing. Cancer is a cardinal sign, so does have the ambition to sort of do things in the right way, but also, these are more sensitive thinkers. These are people that want to say the right words in order not to offend anyone, to hurt anyone's feelings. They're very considerate towards other people. In the way that they think, when they're trying to figure something out, they don't only consider themselves, they consider other people. And this can make them sort of somewhat reserved or shy in a way. Here comes Lucy, dog. Anyways, they can be sort of shy in a way, and they're usually pretty good listeners because they have a lot of empathy for people. They want to hear out someone's side of the story. They can be good listeners. They'd probably make a good therapist because they can be very empathetic and compassionate in their thought process. They're also extremely intuitive. They can almost be psychic as well. They, in decision making, they want to make the right decision, but they also, can have sort of like a gut instinct or inspiration for something, and it's always best for them to follow their gut because they're usually right in that way. Let's see, they can be a little bit moody or a little bit grumpy, especially in the way that they communicate. Sometimes you can feel like they're just being sort of snarky or moody, because they can get into sort of mental moods where they sort of end up thinking negatively about something rather than looking at all the positives. They can kind of look at sort of the worst case scenario, but this makes them, also quite realistic in looking at things. They're not there to only see the positive side of something. They can also see the downfalls. But they can get a little bit depressed sometimes mentally. They can get a little bit stuck in their ruts and, require nourishment in the form of nourishing conversations. Like they require people to sort of lift them up because they would do the same for someone else as well. Let's move on to Leo Mercury. So Mercury and Leo people are very, very mentally strong. They have very strong opinions. They are confident in their opinions. They're confident in their thoughts. And these people are master persuaders. They can sort of get anyone to agree with them. They can get anyone to believe what they want to believe. They really enjoy expressing themselves intellectually. They definitely have a desire to be heard, to be understood, to be listened, to be paid attention to. And that also depends on other things like Mars, which I talked about a little bit in the first video, how Mars operates with Mercury. But in general, people with Leo Mercury, they can be stubborn in feeling like they're always right. But they're very expressive, and they're very, they can be very creative thinkers as well. They think in a way that's more expansive. They're not small-minded people that just only focus on one little thing or one little detail. They tend to sort of think in bigger picture terms, and they probably really like speaking and speak in more of an eloquent way where they're really, finding sort of poetic ways to express themselves, because Leo is very theatrical sign, and in Mercury this can make them theatrical speakers. They could be into things like music and poetry and writing songs and just being creative mentally, because they need that sort of creative expression in order to feel like their thoughts are being transferred into a way that people will see and respect, and they can take pride in, stuff like that. But they can be a little bit egotistical, these people. And again, that depends on the sun sign and moon, other things like that. But they can sort of think with themselves at the center. And, whereas like Cancer Mercury is often thinking about other people, Leo Mercury is a lot of times thinking about themselves. But they are also generous, and, there's basically their thoughts and their opinions and their expressions are nothing without other people, without an audience, without other people participating. So they do think about other people in that way too. Okay, so Mercury in Virgo. So this is a very, very strong Mercury sign because Mercury is doubly ruled by Gemini and Virgo. So Virgo is a ruler of Mercury, and therefore having Mercury in Virgo increases your Mercury type traits. So where Mercury is associated with communication, where Mercury is associated with order, rationality, that's probably the difference between Mercury in Virgo and Mercury in Gemini as far as being ruled by Mercury. Gemini Mercury is very like gathering information and communication, but it's a little more scattered, whereas Mercury in Virgo is much more organized. These people think categorically. They have sort of filing boxes in their head about everything. They're super detail oriented. It can kind of torment them because they feel like anytime they are in any type of situation where they have to make a decision or where they have to use their rationality, which is all the time, they want to make the perfect decision, and they're going to go through every little piece in their mind and try to put everything together from what they remember, what they know, and it can get overwhelming sometimes. So these people can be sort of like mentally stressed. They can be sort of ADD. Even if they're not actually ADD, they can come off sort of scattered because they're just trying to compute too much. It's sort of like does not compute because it's like overloaded. So they really have to sort of compartmentalize whatever they're trying to think about and deal with one thing at a time because they can get overloaded. But these people can be a little anxious and stressed, and just in general, they deal with a lot of anxiety, mental restlessness. They need to always be engaged. Like their mind is never just like, oh, I'm just going to be stagnant and chill out. Whereas that might be like a Taurus Mercury is like, I'm just going to, watch TV and just relax my mind. A Virgo Mercury is like, if they're watching TV, they want to learn something. They're going to be like analyzing everything that's happening in the show or whatever. And it can take a lot to turn their minds off, and they can really overthink things. And this also plays a part in their own insecurity. They can be very doubtful towards themselves and doubtful, they're skeptics. Like in any information that they receive, they're going to kind of be like, I don't know, let me piece that apart and analyze it before I get back to you and decide whether I think it's the truth or not. And they can do this to themselves. They can sort of overanalyze their own thoughts and overanalyze their own motivations and overanalyze what they're going to say in a situation to where they end up, saying something and be like, why did I say that? And they can kind of be, it can be nerve-wracking having a conversation with them sometimes because they're so detail-oriented that you want to be like, just chill out. It's okay. We can just go with the flow. They don't really know how to do that necessarily, but they're great conversationalists. They're exceptionally intelligent and always thinking rationally and logically about things, and they can be really funny in this way because they're very perceptive and analytical, and they can find make very accurate observations about anything, which can be very amusing. So these are the 3 latest Mercury signs, and I'm going to do the next 3 coming up soon, probably in a couple days since I have more time on my hands. So thank you for watching.